good morning, everyone. Who is excited about Monday? I am excited. And a big part of it is going to be this presentation that I'm doing today and the direction that we are going into this final part of the year. This is really the most exciting part of the year for me. Before I jump into that, for those of you, if this is your first time being here with me on the Monday Mindset, my name is Barry Overton. I'm coming to you from San Diego, California, by way of Denver, Colorado. Just recently moved to San Diego about 3 months ago. So really excited to be here with you today. Excited to share this message that for me is one of those things that every year I kind of go through this process. And you've probably heard this presentation before from me as well, because I tend to share this presentation this time of the year also. Reason being, I think it's one of the, for me, what I have found is that this particular time of the year has always been my favorite part, and one of those areas where I just thrive in this particular season. And I want to share with you how you will be able to do the exact same thing. If I can just get a thumbs up from someone, if you can see my page, it says, okay, thank you, Jess. Winning in the fourth quarter. Um, what we're going to talk about today, again, we're not even in the fourth quarter yet. We still got a little, about 3 weeks, a little less than a month before we jump into the fourth quarter. But there's a few reasons that in real estate, this is one of my favorite times because number one, we have the holiday seasons, we have family, we have giving, and all the great things that come with this time of the year. Giving thanks and all the things that are amazing about this time of the year, from the world perspective. But then we also have this area of business where it gives us an opportunity to really close in on goals, because you think about it, you're going to be starting in the first quarter shortly after this quarter is over, and then we get into the fourth quarter. Then you start preparing for the first quarter. Well, one of the things that I learned a long time ago is it's easier to prepare for the first quarter if I have a running start going into it, because I went so hard in the fourth quarter. And another reason is that what I found is during this season, this is especially when you're, when I was an employee, when I was a police officer, this was a time, I took vacation, I took time off. I kind of winded things down, for the year. So I didn't go as hard as I did all year in the fourth quarter. But one of the things I realized in business is that when I'm working for myself, I have to constantly be on top of things. And what I've learned is that most people in real estate, most people in business are doing the same thing. There's that same mentality of slowing things down, again, enjoying the fruits of your labor all year and slowing things down. And when you do that, you kind of take your foot off the gas. You don't go, you don't approach things the way you did all year. You don't approach things the way you do in the first quarter when you're running super hard. And, I'm a big football fan. We know that this was the opening weekend for the NFL. And there was actually a great game on last night that's a perfect example of what I'm talking about. And I'm going to share this with you right at the end. But I want you to think about this for a second. Whether you've had two amazing first three quarters, right now you're in your third quarter and you're having an amazing third quarter. The second quarter was great. The first quarter was great. And you're going into the fourth quarter. Well, guess what? You should be looking to make it your biggest quarter of the year. And whether you've had a terrible first, second, and third quarter, or maybe it's been up and down during that time. What we're talking about right now is just winning this fourth quarter. We're not, whether it was great, whether it was terrible, we're putting those first three quarters behind us and focusing all in on the now. And the now, like I said, the now isn't even here yet. We got 3 weeks, but I want you to start prepping for it right now and putting yourself in a position where you win this fourth quarter. Because much like basketball, much like football, there's 4 quarters and championships are won in the fourth quarter. Great opportunities. Sometimes you see teams that are leading throughout the entire game and they take even a bigger lead in the fourth quarter. Or sometimes you see teams that are losing the entire game and they somehow muster up the strength, muster up the will, the desire, all the things to be able to excel in the fourth quarter. So whatever the case may be, wherever your business is right now, we are focusing on just winning this quarter that's coming up, these next 92 days that start October 1st for you. So I want to give you a few different areas to focus on, 4 different factors to be able to focus on in your business. First and foremost, we got to go into it with a mindset. Again, like I said, I've seen, basketball games, football games where a team has dominated for the first 3 quarters, but they get into that fourth quarter and they take their foot off the gas and they allow the other team to come back and win. If you guys, if you're a football fan, some of you may remember the Atlanta Falcons having a 25-point lead in the almost the middle of the fourth quarter of the Super Bowl. They had a 25-point lead and they managed to still lose that game to the New England Patriots. So again, 2 different mindsets on those different sidelines. One, we're not going to quit until the last tick on the clock is gone. The other one is, hey, we're going to coast to the finish line. And they didn't make it there. So again, it's the mentality, the mindset that you take into your fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about, again, what that should look like for you. If you're number one, you have to kind of look at what you've done over the last 3 quarters. And whether you're satisfied with it, whether you're happy with it, whether you're not happy with it, then tell yourself, okay, new goals, I had these goals for the end of the year, but new goals. This is what I'm doing in this fourth quarter. This is what I'm going to achieve over these next 3 months. So setting the right mindset for yourself in regards to what it is that you want to be able to build over these next 92 days of that fourth quarter. And I want you to think about it from a standpoint of number one, the mindset. I could talk about strictly that one area for the next 30 minutes. But I think what's most important is you got to figure out those things. What drives you? What are the things that light that spark in you to go out and do, increase? A lot of times we talk about it being our why. What is your why? And attaching yourself to your why. One of the things, there has to be an emotional attachment to that why. I do a training. Some of you have probably been through it on, again, taking, like if your why is a dollar amount, let's say you want to make $100,000 just in these next, 3 months, it can certainly be done. But the why is not the $100,000. The why is not what you would do with the money. Then why is not, who it affects. The why goes all the way down into the depth of how it's going to make you feel. And see, I always talk about emotion drives motion. Emotion makes us move. It gives us action. They talk about 2 things that create action is pain or pleasure. If you're in pain on something, you will move to get away from that pain. If you pleasure something in regards to you have a desire for something, you will move towards that. In an action to get towards that thing. Like I said, this one area we could speak, for hours on, but I want you to really tap into the mindset component of things. Now, and then the next part, creating a playbook for yourself. These are your non-negotiables. You got to have a certain clear metrics of how many calls you're making, how many meetings are you doing, how many, ultimately, the ultimate goal, how many closings are you having for these next 3 months? And I think that's key. If you say you're going to make $100,000 for the third quarter, and you know that that's going to take you 6, 7, 8 deals, whatever the case, whatever that number is, then you know, okay, I need 8 deals in 92 days. I need 8 deals in 3 months. All right. And then to understand that's where you're trying to get to, then there's a metrics in regards to how many meetings do I need to be having with my buyers, with my sellers. What do I need to have conversation with them around in regards to um interest rates just dropped over Friday, and that's been a big topic of conversation. I can have some conversation around that. I can have some conversation around new construction and being able to get special interest rates through forward commitment loans. So again, identifying the meetings you want to have, who you want to talk to, who are the people that are you're calling, and finding those 8 closings within that sphere, or within, if you're doing coal marketing, find those 8 people within that coal market. And then break into these weekly sprints again. So again, we're setting quarterly goals, but when you can break it out into manageable pieces, of every week, what are you doing? What is your activity? Some of you in this group right now are part of a training that I just started last Friday. It's called Icon 365, and it's for the purpose. It's a run for this fourth quarter, of a weekly, manageable system of being able to, um, do the activity, those calls, those meetings that ultimately leads to those closings, but doing it in a manageable style on a weekly basis, and then having an accountability group within us to be able to make sure that we're maintaining throughout that process. And then, I call it the execute with a 2-minute drill mindset. Execute with a sense of urgency. Again, when you know you only have 92 days, you got 3 months to do $100,000, there's automatically a sense of urgency with that. So executing from that standpoint of, on a daily basis, what am I doing to get closer to the goal that I'm trying to achieve? Um, and then mastering relentless focus. This is, even for me, this is one of those areas, especially because I have so many different things, so many irons in the fire. And then and social media and all the different things that can create distractions for you. You have to recognize when those things come up, when those distractions come up. So cutting out the noise, taking out those things that waste time, and removing them. And for me, like I said, social media is a big part of my business, but social media can be a time suck as well, because if you get caught into the scroll, and and now you're not posting, you're scrolling, and you're losing time. Just, one example, if you are doing activities, with the 80/20 rule, always look at the activities you're doing, because 20% of the activities that you do give you 80% of the results. So you always have to look at, okay, is this activity that I'm doing, that I'm constantly doing, is it actually giving me any of my results? And granted, now I know one of the things I will always have to give a caveat with that is there are some things that have to be watered. You plant a seed, and you can't expect to see a tree the next day. You can't expect to see a tree the next week, the next month. Through growth, everything has to be watered. It has to be given the nutrients to be able to break through the ground and grow into a tree. And your business is the same way. So there are certain things that you may have started that, whether it's a farming campaign. Farming campaigns can take a year to really kind of take off. So you do have to evaluate, those things that you're putting the activities in, into, because if you've ever heard the story of the Chinese bamboo tree, it actually takes 5 years before it breaks through the ground and starts to grow. But over the next 6 weeks, it grows 90 feet. So it accelerates once it breaks through the ground. And when you think about your business from that standpoint, there may be things that you're watering that you don't see the results from. But eventually, once they come, it takes off. Now, if there are things that you have been doing for a period of time and you just don't see the results, but there are other things that are giving you success, you definitely want to be able to focus on those things that are creating that success for you as well. So it is a balancing act between the two of those. And then use the laser focus blocks again. I've taught this technique called the Pomodoro effect. This is it's a version of time blocking, but it's doing it in much more condensed down time frames and using a timer to be able to take 15-20 minute time blocks of, in this 15 minutes, I am doing nothing else but making these calls. In these 20 minutes, I am doing nothing else but sending these emails. And don't allow other distractions to come into effect for you during that time. It's a very helpful technique of being able to block out other things. And as real estate agents, we all know that we can be in the middle of, a project, making calls, doing emails, and we get that text message that comes through from a client. They got, the urgent exclamation points on the front end of it. And the sky is falling for that client, but the sky can fall for them for this next 10 minutes because I need to finish what I started over here and not get distracted over here. And that's why I like it so much, because it doesn't take me, I'm not saying 2 hours of doing this with no distractions. I'm just saying 20 minutes. And if you want to learn more, I can share more with you on the Pomodoro effect or technique as well. Very powerful system to be able to use. So again, helping you to have better focus, with your business. So then we come down to maximizing your effort and finishing strong. So everything that we just talked about, again, all the pieces that are going to help you to maximize your effort. One of the things, like I said, I have a group, it's accountability group, where we are meeting on a weekly basis, and everyone is sharing their score for the week. There's a grading system, and you have to be able to share your score. I've created an Excel spreadsheet around this that helps you to track your activity, track your score, and know exactly where you are in this the process. And by doing so, again, it's helping to maximize your efforts. When you see your score go down, you can literally go back and say, okay, what did I miss? What did I not do this week that I was doing the previous weeks when I was scoring higher? And based off of the activity score, those results they can't help but follow. I've been doing this process for probably 8-9 years now. When I learned it, and I've never seen it not work for myself or for other people that put it into play. So again, being able to maximize your efforts. And like I said, this is that time of finishing strong. Yes, we have Thanksgiving, we have Christmas, we have New Year's, and I'm not saying to not enjoy those times, but what I am saying is not to allow them to become a distraction from your goals. There's the ability to be able to do both. So again, and taking this time, because I can tell you, I have seen it year after year with agents that they either hit their goal early, or they're right in the middle of the fourth quarter, they hit their goal. And because they hit their goal, they took their foot off the gas. For me, I want to push past my goal. I want to go see how far beyond the goal that I set can I get past it. And the reason I do that is because then it lets me know, okay, I need to do a better job next year of setting my goal, because I went, 30% past the goal that I set for this year. And then you have some folks that they're so far behind their goal that they're like, well, I'm not going to hit it anyway. So they just automatically take their foot off the gas and they start saying what I said earlier is they start preparing for next year. And like I said, the best way to prepare for next year is to run through the end of this year where you have a running start going into the new year. So one of the things that I do, I don't have a new year. I don't believe in New Year's resolutions. I believe in goals. Um, I look at resolutions like rules. They're made to be broken. And if you think about it from a standpoint of there's studies that are out there that I think say 67% of people have given up on their New Year's resolutions by the 15th of February. Whether it's weight loss, whether it's, not drinking, whether it's income goals, whatever the case may be, they've given 67, 2/3 have given up less than two months in, 6 weeks into the year. And so for me, it's about having those goals that you're focusing on. And so I set my goals December 1st and I start running after them December 1st. Why do I do that? Because I want a running start going into the new year when everyone else is resetting and getting prepared for the new year. I've already started and I'm literally running through the new year. And that's why December and January have been always great months for me in real estate because of taking that approach with my business. So, and it says on here, outwork the competition. Honestly, I don't look at other real estate agents as competition. I look at them as agents they're out there, they're doing their job, they're doing their hustle in the way that they see fit. But the bottom line is I am going to outwork most in regards to how they do, but they are not my competition. Sometimes people are driven by looking at it from a competitive standpoint. And then giving the extra effort, again, when you're saying you're going to make 10 calls, having, 2 or 3 days out of the week where you say, you know what, I'm going to step it up. We're going to make 15 calls. And then maybe those 2 or 3 days out of the week turn into 5 to 7 days that no longer do you do 10, you do 15 calls per day. And like I said, building momentum going into that first quarter. There's no better feeling than I want you to think about it like this. If you were running 100-yard dash and you had Usain Bolt at his prime, the world record holder at the starting line of the 100-yard dash, and you are running against him. But here's the thing is you get to start 20 yards behind the starting line and you get a running start to the starting line. And when the gun goes off, you're hitting the starting line. Guess what? You are so far ahead of everyone that started that are in the blocks. They still have to get out of the blocks. They still have to gain momentum. You already have momentum going and you are so far ahead of the pack that no one would really be able to catch you. So once again, it's not a competition, but it's a mindset of, do I want to start out of the blocks January 1st, or do I want to run into the new year? I love running into the new year. So just another approach to look at things. So again, this is kind of wrapping it all up. Again, like I said, there has to be a focus on mindset. With the group that I'm working with, I'm dropping different motivational videos, different discussions around mindset. I believe that the core to any success that you have in life, whether it's in relationships, whether it's weight loss, whether it's, living a better life, whether it's business, whatever the case may be, the foundational piece to all of those things is the mindset that you take into it. And so again, that is something you should constantly be tapping into. If you need to have more conversation with me outside of it, I would love to learn more about what your thoughts are, and again help you, in that direction of mindset. It's one of my favorite areas to tap into. Setting the game plan, as I mentioned a few minutes ago, again, knowing what those steps are going to look like, what the calls, who you're calling, what's the purpose of the call, all those things that you're putting in place in regards to the game plan. And then the focus, having a relentless focus, being able to put techniques in place like the Pomodoro technique, that helps you to focus for those 20 minutes, those 15 minutes, whatever the case may be. And then the effort, it's going to take effort to be able to create the success that you want. And this is where mindset comes into play. This is where game plan comes into play. This is where focus comes into play. When you have those three components in place, the effort becomes easier. The action, the execution becomes so much easier. And that is what is going to lead you to the victory. So again, those four areas are key to your development over these next 3 months. So with that, again, we talk about championship drives. And if you think about it, if you've ever watched a sports game, whether it's something that has fourth quarters, or it could be a tennis match, and you've seen champions that rise to the occasion. Maybe they're down, they're getting beat. Maybe it's a boxer that's been knocked down multiple times, and he finds something inside of him to rise up one more time and put every bit of strength that he has left in him to fight, and ultimately scores a knockout in that fight. Well, again, we see that in sports. I always, they say art imitates life. I think life imitates art, and I think sports imitates life, and life imitates sports. And I want to give you an example. I don't know, again, how many football fans we have on here, but last night was the prime example of
Buffalo Bills.
All right. Well, you'll enjoy this part. So I want you to, if you watched the game last night, it was probably the two of the best teams in the league that were playing last night. And they played, at least on offense, they played at a level that was just phenomenal to see. I mean, just the execution. But to give you an example, in the fourth quarter, this game was a little bit back and forth on the front end. The Bills started with the lead, and then the Ravens took over. So much to the point, I think it was like 20-6 at halftime. When we got into the fourth quarter, 12:51 left, 12 minutes, 51 seconds left in the fourth quarter, the Buffalo Bills scored a touchdown, and it was 25-34. They were down by 9 points. It would take two possessions, two scores for them to win this game. About a minute later, the Ravens got the ball a minute later, and they scored another touchdown. So now it's 25-40. 25-40, 11:42 in the game. It stayed that way until about 4 minutes left in the game. It was 25-40, and at 3 minutes 56 seconds, the Buffalo Bills scored another touchdown, and it was 32-40. Now, I can tell you, between 11:42 and 3:56, the crowd started leaving. It started thinning out. Those that did not have faith started to leave the game, not realizing what they were going to miss. The announcers on the game were praising the Ravens, praising the team that's been, they said they had dominated. When I looked at it, I said, it's 25-40. They have not dominated, this game. And then it became 25-32. The attitude changed. All of a sudden, now here the Bills are on the comeback, and a minute 58 seconds left in the game. It was now 38-40. The Bills are down by 2 points. The Ravens get the ball back. They get an opportunity to run that clock out and still win the game by 2 points. But it doesn't happen. They cannot move the ball. They end up punting the ball. The Bills have two amazing pass receptions that put them in a position for their kicker, a 41-year-old kicker who just got picked up Thursday. He was on his couch in Arizona. Now, granted, he was still staying in shape to be able to kick field goals, but he was not even on a team last Wednesday. And he flew to Buffalo on Thursday to join the team. And now he was coming in. He's actually probably a Hall of Fame kicker. Matt Prater, he used to be a kicker for the Broncos at one point. And now he's called to kick the winning field goal. He kicks the winning field goal, and there are zeros on the clock. And he wins the game. In a game, once again, the Bills were in there, but not, they were looked at as not being dominant. They were looked at as, okay, they're good, but they're not as good as these Ravens. And all of a sudden, over the course of, a third of the fourth quarter that's left, they kicked it into high gear. And when they interviewed Josh Allen, who's the MVP of the league, at the end of the game, he said one thing: there's no quit in us. We don't give up. I know some of our fans left, but we did not. We don't quit. And I want you to take that cycle mentality into this fourth quarter. If you have had an excellent fourth quarter, keep it, first, second, and third quarter. If you've had your first part of the year has been great, keep it going. Run through the fourth quarter. If you have had first, second, and third quarter that have not been what you wanted, that have not taken you where you wanted to go, make the fourth quarter the most amazing that you've ever experienced in your business. And this is the opportunity to be able to do it. It's not about what's happened in these first three quarters. It's about how you approach these next 92 days and put a game plan. You got 3 weeks to put that game plan in place. You got 3 weeks to work on the mindset. You got 3 weeks to put everything all together and have a phenomenal fourth quarter for yourself. So I look forward to hearing your stories about your fourth quarter, your growth over these next 92 days that we start here in a couple of weeks, and just take it to another level for yourself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a pleasure being here with you today. Again, looking forward to hearing your success stories for these next 92 days and how you approach it. You guys have a great day. Take care.
If you'd like more information or to get connected to the Agent Power Huddle, join our free Facebook group. This call was designed for the agents in our EXP organization, but open to any agent from any brokerage. If you're a guest and you're interested in learning more about EXP or our specific resources within the Agent Collective, reach out to the person who invited you to this call to get more info. Produced by the Agent Collective Media Network.